Every question leaves a trail. Every story hides a clue. Truth is waiting in the silence. Come take the dive, I'll walk with you. Main mirror, where truth comes into view.
Let's kick off this explainer. Today, we're diving into something seriously fascinating. A real-time, high-stakes case study in accountability. We're going to take a career-ending military accusation and stack it right up against the actual digital paper trail. You know, it's a story about what happens when an official narrative completely collides with digital reality. We're going to connect the dots, step by step, using primary source documents, the actual text messages and memos, to see exactly what the facts tell us. Now, before we get into the weeds, we've got to understand the stakes here. Being labeled AWOL, absent without leave, under Article 86 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, well, it is definitely not some minor administrative typo. As our source points out, this is an accusation that strikes at the absolute core of military service. I mean, for anyone in uniform, failing to report for duty fundamentally attacks your integrity, your discipline, and your reliability. It's the kind of charge that can literally ruin a professional reputation forever. It's incredibly severe.
Part 1. The AWOL accusation. Here's exactly what went down. The incident centers on Staff Sergeant Ryan Michaels, who is in a full-time active guard reserve spot at Pease Air National Guard Base up in New Hampshire. On October 26, 2023, his commander, Major Emily A. Hansen, officially initiated paperwork to involuntarily rip him out of that full-time position.
And when you read this official October 26th memorandum for the record, you can really feel the gravity of it. This is a document purpose-built to end a career. It explicitly recommends curtailing him from the Active Guard Reserve program for cause. It even pushes for an under honorable conditions discharge, which, if you don't know, is a major step down from a fully honorable discharge. It would effectively end his active service trajectory right then and there. Let's cleanly extract what Major Hansen is actually asserting in that memo. She officially claims that Staff Sergeant Michaels was absent without authority from his place of duty on October 17th, specifically between 0900 and 1100, 9 to 11 a.m. On top of that, she writes that he cited childcare issues that he had, quote, failed to mention previously. So, according to this official document, he just vanished that morning with zero warning. Okay, hold those claims in your head.
All right, moving to part 2, rewinding to October 16th. To figure out what really went down on the 17th, we've got to put on our forensic investigator hats and rewind the clock by one day. We are going to put the official memo claims right next to the documented reality of their text logs.
Check out this message sent at 3:07 p.m. on October 16th. Michaels proactively texts his commander. He clearly explains that the very next day, Tuesday the 17th, he's got a counseling appointment for his son before school. He specifically asks, hey, is it okay to come in at 11 a.m. instead? I mean, this completely, undeniably blows up the claim that he failed to mention previously his childcare issues. The proof is right there in writing a full day in advance.
And as that text thread continues on the 16th, Michaels opens up about the immense stress his kids are facing because of an active Child Protective Services investigation involving their mom. But even in the middle of this massive family crisis, he repeats a hugely important phrase. He says, I will do whatever I'm asked. And he says it twice. It's a repeating motif that builds an absolute wall of evidence showing he fully intended to follow his commander's orders, no matter what.
Now here is where it gets wild. How does Major Hansen respond to that request on Monday afternoon? She texts back 12:30, 14:30 for tomorrow. Boom. She officially revised his Tuesday reporting time to 12:30. Think about the math on that for a second. The official memo later accuses him of being AWL from 0900 to 1100. But based on her own written orders from the day before, an unauthorized 9 a.m. absence is physically impossible. She literally told him not to report until 12:30.
Which brings us to part 3, October 17, following orders. Let's fast forward to the actual morning of the alleged AWOL date. We already know he wasn't supposed to be there at 9 a.m. So what actually happened?
This morning exchange just perfectly illustrates the reality. At 10:12 a.m., Michaels messages Major Hansen again. He sends over a letter from his neurologist, who's treating him for a traumatic brain injury, by the way, advising him not to return to work yet. But Michaels doesn't just clock out and stay home. He asks her directly, should I still show up to work anyway? I'll do whatever is asked of me, to be clear. And Major Hansen replies, "Received. Please still come in today." So he actively complies and starts getting ready for his 12:30 report time.
Let's jump to part 4, the shipyard redirect. We are now at the absolute climax of the morning's timeline, because the situation is about to change abruptly, right while Michaels is actively following his orders. Look at this timestamp. At exactly 11:44 a.m., while Michaels is literally in uniform getting ready to report for his scheduled 12:30 shift at Pease, Major Hansen fires off a brand new order via text. She writes, "Please go to the shipyard clinic at 12:30 instead of coming to Pease." She wants him to go get his blood pressure checked by a military doc and get it in writing. The destination completely changes, and Michaels just pivots immediately, asking who he needs to speak with when he gets there. So he heads to the shipyard clinic, updates his commander the second he arrives, and successfully gets the exact handwritten medical documentation she asked for. He sends her a photo of it and says, "Please let me know how you wish for me to proceed, and I will comply in whatever way I need to, ma'am." Her response? She asks for some more specific medical notes for the future, and then officially tells him his next report time won't be until Thursday at 0900.
Now for part 5, contradicting the official record. This is where we bring the whole narrative together. We're going to stack that official paperwork directly up against the digital timestamps we just dug through. It's time to connect the dots.
The contrast here is just undeniable. On one hand, you've got Hansen's formal written claim that Michaels was unexcused and AWOL at 9 a.m. On the other hand, you have the rock-solid reality of the text messages showing she personally changed his schedule to 12:30 the day before. I mean, you simply cannot be absent without leave at 9 a.m. when your commanding officer explicitly ordered you to report at 12:30 p.m. It proves that the October 26th memo wasn't just some innocent administrative error, it was a completely false narrative directly contradicted by her own written orders.
Let's quickly summarize this wild sequence of events on October 17th. Michaels submits a medical note in the morning but confirms he's still coming in. At 11:44, he gets redirected to the shipyard. By 12:30, he is actively complying at the clinic, getting the requested documentation and constantly communicating with his commander. The primary source documents prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this was a day of active, real-time compliance. He didn't just pull a vanishing act.
Moving to part 6, why the truth matters. Let's wrap this up and talk about the so what. How did this specific dispute resolve, and why is keeping contemporaneous records so absolutely vital for us all?
Well, despite this heavily documented attempt to push him out of the military with an under honorable conditions discharge based on a narrative that clearly defied reality, Michaels stood his ground. He worked with his assigned military defense counsel, challenged the official narrative using these exact digital records we just looked at, and ultimately, he was honorably discharged. He kept the distinction he earned over 12 years of service instead of letting a contradictory, inaccurate memo define his entire career. And that leaves us with one incredibly powerful question to chew on. What actually happens when institutional authority goes unchecked by documented evidence? This explainer really highlights why transparency and true accountability are so crucial. When official narratives clash with the cold, hard facts, it is the primary source documents, the timestamps, the texts, the unaltered digital reality that actually protect the truth. It's a stark reminder for all of us. Always rely on the evidence, not just the authority, when you're searching for the facts.